Hi, I'm Kevin Eikenberry, and I'm here to help you reach your potential as a leader and a human being. Welcome to Remarkable TV. Today we're talking about meetings and really how much as a leader you ought to be talking during your meetings. Are you ready? Let's go. So, I don't know you, probably, and I probably don't know much about your communication style or your leadership style or your behavioral style. And I know that all of those things could impact what I'm about to say, and yet I've observed lots of leaders in lots of meetings over 30 years. And I've learned, and in both observing those meetings and then talking to leaders afterwards, here's what I've learned. I've learned that leaders, most self-aware leaders, want to have more participation in their meetings. They want people to be more engaged. They want more exchange. They want better idea sharing so we can get better decisions made. All of those things are what most of us want from our meetings. Yes, there are some leaders, and those people aren't watching, that really just want to manage the meeting of them all themselves. But for the most part, these are the things that we want, and we're not getting it. So people ask me the question, so why is that? And it leads to an answer. Now, I have an answer for you, but first, I want to share the answer from Steve Harvey.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this as Christian as I can. You just talk too damn much.
Yeah, the answer to this question is mostly about you. And Steve is answering a question of a young lady who's trying to figure out why she can't get a second date. My context is different. I'm trying to answer the question of how you can get people more involved in your meetings. My answer is the same as his. You're talking too much. Now, there's a variety of reasons, and they all make some sense. So let's walk through some of those possible reasons that happens to you, and then maybe what you could do differently. The first one is, this is sort of all you've ever seen. You say, Kevin, I don't have meetings that work, but I've never really seen meetings that do work. People I'm not getting the participation. If this is all you've ever seen, and so you're consciously or not, you're modeling what you've seen, which is the leader doing a lot of the talking. So maybe that's the reason. Maybe the reason is that you have the design all wrong. If you look at your agenda, and yes, you ought to have one, but when you look at your agenda, if all you find is information sharing kinds of things, presentation after presentation after presentation, that's setting you up for there not being not being conversation, because everyone's in passive, watch the PowerPoint mode. So your design may be wrong. The third thing I see is that oftentimes leaders aren't patient enough. In other words, they may ask a question, but that when they don't get an immediate response, they start talking right away. And so people over time figure out, well, Kevin doesn't really want me to talk during this meeting because he keeps talking. So maybe you're not being patient enough. You have the right design, you have the right intention, but you're not being patient enough. In front of that, though, would simply be that you're just not asking enough questions. After you ask a question, you want to be patient, give people a chance to think through an answer, come up with an answer, and then decide to share it. But you may not just be asking enough at all. So part of your preparation for meetings ought to be to write a list of questions that you want to ask at different junctures throughout it. And lastly, the reason is you just talk too soon. See, as the boss, once you start talking, others are going to stop. It's just like when you were in school. When the teacher starts talking, then everyone says, well, apparently there's nothing for us because they're giving us the answer. And as the boss, in that authority spot, even if you've done a good job of cultivating the relationships and the trust with your team, once you start talking, they sort of say, well, boss has decided, time for me to stop. So those are some reasons and some solutions for you. But here's the thing. How much should you talk in meetings? Less than you already are. And so I'm going to tell you to talk less and talk later. So here's today's tweet. If you want others to participate more in your meetings, you are likely talking too much. So as a leader, figuring out when we should talk and when we should listen, figuring out how to have more effective meetings, one of the biggest banes to most every organization and professional in the world, is at near the top of our list. As leaders, we want to get better at those things. And that's one of the many things that we talk about in the Remarkable Leadership Workshop. This 2-day learning experience that I created and that I lead brings a cohort of leaders together, leaders like you, who want to get better, and helps them in an engaging, participative, fun, practical, environment to help them leave more confident and competent to be more effective leaders. If you want to learn more, you can learn more elsewhere on this page by clicking on the links. I hope you'll do that, and I look forward to seeing you at a future workshop. But before you go, one more thing. This RTV Remarkable Leadership process is designed to be interactive. So please, I'm doing all the talking here, you're doing the listening, but you can talk below. Share your comments, thoughts, and ideas, questions about this, or questions that you'd like me to address in a future episode. Share those comments on this page. We appreciate it. We look forward to talking to you soon and seeing you on the next episode of Remarkable TV.